The Legion Malkador Assault Tank. A truly ancient design, dating back to the wars of the Age of Strife on Terra. The Imperial production model of this heavy tank pattern was given the name of Malkador the Sigillite, right hand of the Emperor, during the early days of the Great Crusade, when thousands of these war machines rolled off the production lines of Mars and Voss. Although not as heavily armed as Goliaths such as the Baneblade, or as well protected as the Land Raider that would come to largely replace it in Legion service as a main battle tank, the Malkador nevertheless possesses a number of advantages to its design, the principal of which is its battle speed, which is truly formidable for a tank of its size, thanks to a sophisticated, if somewhat temperamental, drive system. By the time of the Horus Heresy, many Malkador tanks had been relegated to strategic reserves and second-line Imperial Army units, replaced by newer, more powerful designs. Although the demands of mankind's galaxy-wide civil war soon brought them back into the fray, while their availability saw them used as test beds for a variety of new variants designed to plug gaps in supply and resource. The Legion Whirlwind Scorpius. The term Whirlwind is used amongst the Legion's Astartes to describe a range of vehicle-mounted multiple missile launcher systems, many of which were recovered during the Great Crusade and were undergoing frontline trials with various units before the Horus Heresy swept across the galaxy. The Scorpius was a pattern that had only recently entered service, having been created at the behest of the Space Wolves Legion to aid in the campaign against the fortified bastion cities of the Xenos Galusian subrealms. Fighting alongside Legion Predators, with which it shares many common armour and drive systems, the Scorpius proved itself well suited to such high-intensity operations, and had been approved for service across the entire Legion's Astartes before the outbreak of the war. The Legion GLAIVE Super Heavy Special Weapons Tank. The GLAIVE, or FELLBLADE as it is sometimes known, is a super heavy tank pattern related to the FELLBLADE, but beyond the obvious surface similarities, the two tanks are very different. The reason for this divergence lies with the GLAIVE's primary weapon system, the fearsome and arcane Volkite Carronade, a device of the Mechanicum whose design is said to originate on Mars in the wars of the Age of Strife. It was not without some acrimony that the Forge Lords agreed to the Emperor's demand for a Legion tank to be created that utilised this weapon. The need, however, was great, and the GLAIVE was first deployed against the Apex Exothon codified as the Catachi Diabolum, which had proved such a thorn in the Great Crusade's side. Later, the GLAIVE proved its worth both against the Orc hordes and the stranger Xenos monstrosities encountered as the Emperor's crusading armies penetrated the murderous zones surrounding the galactic core. The effort of constructing practicable numbers of super heavy tanks around to the Volkite Carronade is considered well worth the staggering expenditure its resources required. For multiple targets, and even the largest Xenos abominations are struck down by its ravening beam before even a portion of its energy is dissipated. The Legion Thunderhawk Transporter. The Thunderhawk Transporter is a support variant of the standard Thunderhawk gunship that has recently entered into service with the Space Marine Legions. It may be used to quickly deploy or redeploy armoured vehicles and deliver supplies in heavily contested war zones where less well armed and armoured craft would prove extremely vulnerable. Rapidly becoming a relied upon workhorse of the Legions, a Thunderhawk transporter can carry 2 Rhino-sized vehicles or a single Land Raider-sized vehicle. It can also be used to carry an underslung supply pod and other useful equipment such as a winch system for recovering drop pods after a battle deployment. The SOKAR pattern STORMBIRD. The STORMBIRD is a dedicated attack lander, developed from the various Warhawk and Nephirus class STORMBIRD assault transports utilised by the Indonesic bloc during the unification wars on ancient Terra, and adapted by the Emperor for his early legions. The SOKAR itself was one of the later patterns developed, and was the design precursor to the smaller, more widely produced Thunderhawk gunship. It was conceived as a specialised, high-durability orbital assault craft, almost a mobile bastion and firebase, which could land a Space Marine strike force and withstand heavy ground fire while its passengers forced a landing zone. To this end, the SOKAR's design features all-round gun turrets and particularly dense composite armour plating comparable to a main battle tank. It is further protected by void shield generators, which it can extend to protect disembarking troops and war machines. Multiple thruster units ensure that even if several engines are damaged, the SOKAR is still airworthy, making it a powerful, if somewhat ungainly flyer. The howl of these huge engines is quite distinctive, even over the din of battle, and along with the bloodshed that follows its appearance, it has earned the SOKAR the informal name of the Deathbird among the Imperialist auxilia. The Space Marine Legion FALCHION Super Heavy Tank Destroyer. The FALCHION utilises a potent weapon combining technologies used in the FELLBLADE and the Shadow Sword Super Heavy Tank. The FALCHION's twin-mounted volcano cannon is one of the most powerful vehicle-mounted anti-tank weapons in the Imperium's arsenal, and it requires such an investment in resources to construct just a single example that its use is limited to the Legion's Astartes. Even then, the FALCHION is so rare that most Legions maintain but a handful, reserved for use against the largest of enemy war machines. The FALCHION was developed long before the outbreak of the Horus Heresy, and as such, its prey was not the enemy Titans it would later see such extensive combat against. As the Great Crusade expanded ever outward, the expeditionary fleets encountered a staggering array of foes, some of whom were of a truly gargantuan scale. The formless overlord beings of the Poison Wretch were so massive they could crush entire armies with their bulk, but they were set to ravening flame by the touch of the Ultramarines Falchion's volcano cannons. When the gravity-defying mountain fortresses of the Thulos Deeps rejected compliance, a company of Iron Hands Falchions burned them and their occupants from the skies, scattering all to rubble, such that no stone was left standing upon another. The Legion Terminator Squad. The fruits of the tactical dreadnought armour project, Terminator suits, are the ultimate advance in personal armour technology that the Imperium has developed. Terminator squads match these formidable developments with the finest veteran forces of the legions to form devastating frontline assault units, able to withstand the heaviest enemy fire and deliver a hammer blow to crush the foe with ruthless power. Terminator armour equipped units are particularly valuable in heavy close quarter fighting, such as battles fought in the deep confines of hive cities or in starship boarding actions. The Legion Fire Raptor Gunship. A variant of the Storm Eagle, the Fire Raptor gunship was created with the aim of providing overwhelming aerial firepower to Legion's Astartes assault forces. These relentless craft can reduce any attacking force to ruin in a devastating rain of bolt shells and high explosive rockets, and are in use amongst virtually every one of the legions. In addition to twin nose-mounted Avenger bolt cannon and an array of rockets or missiles, the Fire Raptor replaces the capacious transport bay of the Storm Eagle with ammunition and targeting cogitators for 2 independent ball turrets. Each of these sophisticated turrets is equipped with a gyroscopic array and crewed by a dedicated Space Marine gunner, allowing each to strike separate targets with pinpoint precision, even while the gunship moves at flank speed. The Fire Raptor first gained renown during the campaigns against the Orcs that infest many of the systems now claimed by the Emperor. The ferocious firepower of these craft proved pivotal on numerous engagements against the overwhelming numbers of Orcs encountered on those worlds, reducing wave after wave of Orc warriors to bloody ruin. The Legion Thunderhawk Gunship. The Thunderhawk gunship was a development of the later Great Crusade, intended to bridge the gap in size and capacity between smaller designs, such as the Storm Eagle, and the larger and more costly STORMBIRD and Argo dropships. Designed to operate in atmosphere and void space, it combined the roles of orbital troop lander, heavy gunship, and medium bomber, and proved a highly successful addition to a Legion's fleet. With the outbreak of the wars of the Horus Heresy, both sides ramped up production of their Thunderhawks to meet the ongoing demands of the war. The Legion FELLBLADE Super Heavy Tank. Based upon the same standard template construct pattern as the Baneblade and Deathhammer super heavy tanks, which form the mainstay of the vast armoured brigades of the Imperial Crusade army, the FELLBLADE was a more advanced variant that first saw widespread service, particularly in the Space Marine legions, in the last decades before the nightmare of the Heresy. The FELLBLADE was most notable for its use of both Mechanicum atomantic arc reactor technology and a reinforced Metaplas alloy chassis superior to that of the Baneblade, and also the employment of an advanced accelerator cannon as its primary armament, all fruits of technologies restored to humanity by the later conquests of the Great Crusade.